Today we're going to learn a few licks from Jimi Hendrix's iconic recording Who Knows off the Band of Gypsies album. But learning the licks is just the starting point. Once we get them under our fingers, we're going to take a deeper look at what makes them so special, to see how we can take some of these same note choices and playing techniques to come up with unique licks of our own. My name is Jack Ruch. Welcome to my channel. Let's get into it. So for this lesson, I've chosen 3 licks that all have some special and unique characteristics. But when I'm transcribing stuff, I like to have some context. Usually if there's a lick I really like, it's because it falls in a cool spot in the groove or in the overall flow of the solo. So to demonstrate these licks, I'm going to play a larger segment of the solo so you can hear the overall context. This is an important thing to keep in mind when you're transcribing stuff on your own. So this first lick comes from the intro section of the tune. This first lick is going to use a technique that I call double bends. This is something Jimi Hendrix used a lot in his playing. And essentially what we're going to do is grab one string, bend it up a whole step, and then while holding that string bent, roll our fingers down to the next adjacent string and release the bend. It's a little hard to explain, but it sounds something like this. Right? So essentially what I'm doing there is I'm grabbing the B string at the 11th fret and I'm bending the note up a whole step. Now I'm using 3 fingers behind my ring finger to give it a lot of support, but I'm also going to use that middle finger to roll down to the G string. So I bend this up a whole step, and then with my middle finger I'm going to kind of roll it down and catch the 10th fret of the G string, which is also bent up, right? The G string is kind of being caught in that bend. So, right, so I'm bending up on the B string, and then I'm picking the G string and sort of rolling that middle finger down to catch that string. Right, it's a little tricky to do slowly like that, and it takes some time to kind of get the motor skills happening. Also, you want to be careful to not kind of let that B string fall and make a big loud noise, right? So it requires a little bit of muting and control with the left hand. But now we can take this same move and move it up one set of strings and do it on the E string, moving to the B string. And that's sort of what happens in this lick. We're grabbing the 11th fret of the high E string and bending that up a whole step. And then coming down, again, this happens with our ring finger on both strings, right? Because we're not changing frets. So 11th fret of the high E string to 11th fret of the B string, and then releasing down here to the 8th fret of the B string, and then, right, so that's the move. This is something you can move around. I mean, this is sort of out of this C minor pentatonic box, right, which we're playing in, but you can take this same technique and move it around down to the major pentatonic. So you could do, which is something you hear Joe Walsh do sometimes, kind of this, right? So this is a cool technique. You can move around the fretboard, but essentially the way Jimi does it is That's sort of the cool part of this lick, and he does these types of bends a lot in his playing, and particularly on the Band of Gypsies album. It's sort of a prevalent technique that he was sort of known for. So this next lick comes from the first solo in the song Who Knows, and this uses a really common device found a lot in this type of blues rock playing, and that is combining notes from the minor pentatonic scale and the major pentatonic scale. So the lick that we're going to talk about here, Jimi plays at the end of that little solo section I played, and it goes like this. Right, so you can see that he's using some notes from this C minor pentatonic box here. Right? Classic kind of blues phrasing. But he's also incorporating notes like the sixth, right? And then coming down to the major third, right? Which are all out of this major pentatonic box. Right, so being able to see those two box patterns overlaid over one another really helps with this type of phrasing. And you can take these kind of ideas and come up with your own little combinations of notes. So this third lick comes from the next solo section in the tune. This is the wah-wah guitar solo where he kicks on the wah-wah pedal and does some really great phrases. And what we're going to focus on here is his use of different rhythmic subdivisions. So he starts out this section of the solo by playing kind of a standard minor pentatonic box blues shape, right? But then from right here, he moves into kind of this triplet rhythm feel and plays this sort of nice staccato line. Right? So by changing up the rhythm and changing up the subdivisions there, it gives the line a whole different flavor and a different way of phrasing. So this is something you can take and sort of extract out from that and expand on and move around different parts of the fretboard and different spots. You could take even just that basic minor pentatonic box and just mess around with that phrasing idea to come up with lines of your own. Right? Really, it's limitless what you can do with that, but it's something to be aware of and just to think about when you're listening to Hendrix's playing and how he uses these different rhythmic subdivisions to create movement and new interesting colors in his playing. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button and check the description for all my links to different courses and my Patreon page. That's a great way to support this channel and get some additional lesson content. Until next time, happy practicing and take care.